Welcome back to Main Street Living. Can you believe that June is here? We have the warmer weather, just smell it, the faint smell of barbecues in the air.
Right,
And
you're
June
so
also, it sounds so great. Hot dogs, hamburgers, bring them all to me. Well, in addition to all of that fun, June is also Pride Month and the chance to learn more about and to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes, and I love them. Oh my goodness. And Jen LaBarbera is here to give us a little history and remind us about what Pride Month is really all about. Jen, welcome to Main Street Living.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us, how did Pride Month come to be? And what was the goal from the start? Because it's really grown to be something big and amazing.
Yeah, right. Today, Pride is giant. It's worldwide. But it started as a commemoration and celebration of the 1969 Stonewall riots. Stonewall wasn't the first or the last time that our community fought back against state-sanctioned police violence. But this one really lit the spark of the modern LGBTQ rights movement. And so the brief story is the long story of Stonewall, but I'll keep it brief. Is that June of 1969, police initiated what was a fairly standard raid of a gay bar, which were a pretty regular occurrence. And in many places, those police regularly roughed people up, put people in jail, just for being who they were in one of the few places that our community had built to gather. And this night, the patrons decided they had had enough, led mostly by Black and brown trans women, drag queens, street kids, and butch lesbians. We fought back for about 3 days. And so then the next year, what started as Christopher Street Liberation Day March in New York really happened around the country and then eventually around the world as a way to commemorate and celebrate and honor our ancestors, our transcestors that really fought back and are helping to build that community, create power, and work for LGBTQ freedom and liberation.
What does the purpose of Pride Month have in today's society, though? Instead of looking at the past, let's look at today and in the future. It's more than just parades. Correct?
For sure. And parades are a huge thing, right? And they're the main thing that people think about when you think about Pride. And that exuberant and very public display of who we are and identities that are often shamed and discriminated against is really meaningful. Finding joy in our community is an important part of our movement. And it's also about more than that, right? It's more than cute merch at big box stores, although I've definitely bought some of that myself. And it's more than making a company logo rainbow for a month, right? The purpose is finding joy and validation in our community. The purpose is creating that community so we can continue to fight for our rights and existence and build power among LGBTQ activists. And the glitter and the rainbows and the joy are all part of it, for sure. But the rest of that movement for justice is what Pride is as well.
Yes, and I'm glad that you are advocating for this because every person should be allowed to express themselves and be themselves without being judged. I'm so tired of people pointing fingers and judging. I mean, who is anybody to judge? So why is it important for everyone to participate in Pride Month, even if they're not part of the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So even if folks are not LGBTQ yourselves, you all know somebody who's LGBTQ, whether you know it or not. It might be your kid or your uncle or your colleague or your neighbor. And so we're at a time right now in 2023 when our community has become a primary target of hateful and harmful speech and discrimination. And so it becomes that much more important that we see that support from everyone in our lives, from our neighbors, our colleagues, our parents, our friends, our family. And I would also just ask our non-LGBTQ friends to do more than take cute selfies at the parade, but do that too. But then also give directly to a local LGBTQ group, go patronize an LGBTQ-owned restaurant, give your time or volunteer with an LGBTQ organization, and do that beyond June as well too, right? We're queer and we're trans and we're here the other 11 months of the year as well.
You've said that, that the community has made great steps forward, but is it just me, or lately it seems like there's a movement backwards? Is that how you feel that there are trampling of rights, and what can we do to change that?
Yeah, I certainly feel that way, and we have made amazing strides forward. Right, we are in a place today that I never imagined growing up a longer than it maybe seems ago. But 2023 has been the worst year in history for state-based legislative attacks on trans equality, LGBTQ equality, but mostly focused on our most vulnerable, on our trans youth. We broke records last year for anti-LGBTQ bills, and we broke those records again this year with nearly 700 bills introduced, and almost 60 of those bills have been enacted across the country. And so, right, we're seeing this pushback on our equality, on our liberation, on our freedom. And so it is important to push back. And doing that is somewhat simple and complex, but mostly it's don't tolerate it, right? If your elected official is engaging in this, push back on them, right? Tell them that what they're doing is wrong. If your uncle is parroting those talking points at a dinner, tell him why he's wrong, right? Do your best to refute him, because it is going to take all of us to turn this ship back around and get us pointed back towards more liberation and more equality.
Yeah. And just hearing that you were going backwards makes me angry, because, we should be moving forward in society with everything that's happening. And you are a leader in the San Diego Pride organization, which I think is fantastic. So tell us a little bit about that group and what you do in the community.
Yeah, so San Diego Pride is a year-round education, advocacy, and arts and culture organization. We work locally, nationally, and globally. And our biggest fundraiser and event that most people know us for is the Parade and Festival in July. And we also do many year-round community programs that focus on different subsets of our community, from our women's programs and to our Latina and queer API programs, to programs for and by LGBTQ artists. We have a lot of year-round programs that really serve some of the folks that are most vulnerable or least seen in our community, which includes some really robust youth programming as well. We also have a really large education and advocacy program and a small team, which is what I lead. And we do public education, trainings, presentations, et cetera, and coordinating a lot of community advocacy when things like these anti-LGBTQ pieces creep into San Diego County here, which we have seen this year.
Wow. Okay.
Well, how can viewers find out more about Pride Month, ways to celebrate, but also not only the celebration, but ways to raise their own voice?
Yeah, it's a great question. I love the way you framed it. So for Pride Month, specifically San Diego Pride's events and our celebrations, sdpride.org is where you'll find all of that information. If you're not in San Diego, usaprides.org has a pretty good, not entirely comprehensive, but real close calendar of all of the Pride events happening around the country. And then, getting involved and getting engaged to contribute to the LGBTQ community. Find a group in your region that resonates with you. If that's for LGBTQ youth or LGBTQ housing, right? Find a group that is doing the work that you want to do and volunteer with them. Give them money, give them your time or your talent or your treasure, and really invest in the LGBTQ community in Pride Month and the rest of the year as well.
Oh, Jen, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. We all need to step up and take a part in this, and maybe get some of that cool swag too. I like that pin that you got there.
Yes. Yes.
It's more than a parade, definitely.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Definitely more than a parade. Hey, but up next, diversity is not just about those parades, reflecting our diversity on stage when Main Street Living continues.